welcome back to my channel. My name is Megan. I have another project for you. I'm going to be doing what I like to call a Facebook Marketplace furniture flip. I came across a beautiful set of old restoration hardware kitchen stools. They're the perfect height for my new island that I just built in my kitchen, and I'm giving them a new life. I'm going to show you real quickly what they look like now. As you can see, they have this sort of whitewashed, coastal, sort of driftwood, very exposed grain look to them, and it just doesn't go with my decor, as beautiful as they are. The seat is damaged. It needs to be recaned, so that is probably the largest task to do in this project. I think most people would look at these stools and say, wow, I don't know what to do with that. What do you do with the seat? I'm going to show you what I'm going to do with the seat. I'm going to show you how I'm going to paint these. I'm going to take you through the entire process today, and hopefully next time that you're on Facebook Marketplace, you can look at something with a brand new set of eyes and really see a vision for what that piece could be. And a lot of times it's just a little bit of paint. I don't always do this, but for this particular piece, I wanted to take it completely apart before I painted it. Not all furniture is able to do this. This is very well made, so I was able to do that. There's a lot of little pieces to these chairs, and I didn't want the paint to well up in between those pieces. So for a really good, clean look, the best option for me was to take it completely apart. And if you do this, I suggest you take a picture of it before you do. Luckily, I had two stools, so I was able to just use the other stool as a guide when I was putting it back together. As you know, the seats are caned. In order for me to recane these properly, I need to make sure I remove all of the old caning, and that means going into each and every single one of the holes that are drilled in the seat and making sure I get every last little bit of the old caning out. Before I recane the seat, I'm going to paint it first. It's going to have a much cleaner look if I give it at least one coat of paint and then cane on top of it. I can always go back and touch up later, but to try to get that really clean look and to paint around the caning is really, really tough. So I'm a huge fan of Sloan chalk paint, so that's what I'm using today. The color is called Athenian Black. I always clean my furniture before I start painting. You can use mineral spirits, you can use Windex, you can use simple green, and just make sure you remove all of the cleaner that you used with some water and that it is dry before you start painting. And like I said, I'm just doing one quick coat, and I'm going to go back later after the seat is caned and touch up. If you're here for a caning tutorial, this is not it. It's actually only the second time I've done it, and while I was very successful at it, I owe it all to a particular YouTube video that I found, which is so informative and so good. There is absolutely no reason for me to reinvent the wheel. So I'm gonna have that linked below, and you can check that out if you're interested in learning how to recane a seat. So again, I'm using Athenian Black by Sloan, and I'm using a regular paintbrush. I believe it's a Worcester or a Purdy. I got it from Home Depot. Nothing fancy here, and I'm just brushing it on, trying to make sure that I get into all of the nooks and crannies. I'm not worried about being too perfect here because I'm going to do touch-ups after I put the chair back together. Chalk paint dries super fast, which is one thing I love about it. So I was pretty much able to start putting it back together as soon as I finished painting because the pieces that I painted first were already dry. Once it's completely back together, I went ahead and did some touch-ups on it, and I recommend making sure you inspect your piece head to toe very thoroughly, because if you miss any spots, I'll show you what that looks like in just a minute. Now that I'm done painting, I can go ahead and wax to seal my piece. So I'm using Annie Sloan's dark wax, and you know, she makes clear wax, dark wax, and she makes black wax, and they all look different on different paint colors. So the dark wax and the black wax look very similar on this particular color, so I could have used either one, and I chose dark wax because it's what I had. I like to apply my wax on something like this with a brush. If it was something that was flat like a dresser, I would probably just apply it with a rag. But I like being able to use the brush for something like this because I can get into the crevices and the little nooks and crannies that this piece has with my brush. And then I go behind and remove the wax and polish it with, I'm going to use a paper towel today, but that's because I'm out of my shop cloths that I normally like to use. But a rag works, an old t-shirt works as well, and I will link the blue shop towels that I like below. I prefer those, but with everything going on in the world right now, it's just really hard to get a hold of some of the normal things that we would be able to use. Where I did the caning on the seat, I'm just being very careful, very precise to make sure that I don't get any paint, any wax, or anything on that caning because it will stain. So you have to be very precise when working around something like that. Here's the little mistake I made. I did not completely cover these two spots with paint, and I've already waxed over them, and unfortunately you cannot paint over wax until the wax has cured, and Annie Sloan recommends it cures for 30 days. So I'll probably wait about a month, and then I'll just go back and touch it up with my black paint and wax back over it. Thank you guys so much for watching. Make sure you give me a follow over on Instagram where I share all of my projects in real time. I love getting your feedback over there. I am at Megan Bell Made, and I will see you guys next time.